I welcome all the learners and participants to this live TC session on the topic Mixed Methods in Research. This topic is beneficial for the learners of postgraduate diploma in higher education. But then equally those who are undertaking any research work, especially in the field of, in the discipline of education and broadly the social sciences, all of such learners and researchers can make use of this session because today we do undertake research work which are mixed in nature, and we will, in today's session, we will be in a brief manner, we will be discussing the various aspects related to mixed method research. So with this, let us start the discussion. Along with me, we have Dr. Rajshri Thakur also. So I would request Dr. Rajshri Thakur to initiate the discussion.
Sure, sir. Let us begin with a very basic concept, research. So could you please tell us what is research and what are the basic steps involved in research?
Yeah, so let us, before coming to the mixed method research, let us start understand what is a research. We will also discuss about the steps involved in the research work. Then we will take further forward what is a mixed method research. So to get an idea about the very basic idea of research, or to quote a definition, I would request your attention on the screen where you are seeing a definition which is quoted by Creswell, which says, as he points out, research is a process of steps used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. This definition is given by Creswell in 2012. Let me make it very simple and easy to understand. See, we have a number of issues in the educational sector. So through research we will see what are such issues, how a solution can be brought out for such an issue. It's not only, even though I mentioned about the issue, it's not only about the issues, it can be various other like factors also, like if you want to add some existing knowledge to the present knowledge, that can also be undertaken as a research work. So basically it is about any issue, and we will see related to that issue what all data we can collect. But then when we do undertake a research work, we necessarily go through some of the steps which are very scientific in nature. So if that is the case, if you again look at the screen, you will see the steps quoted by again Creswell. There are general steps, but then Creswell has given these 6 steps. And if you see the step, you will see the first one is identifying the research problem. We also sometimes call it as a variable. We will identify a variable, something related to an educational issue. Now once that is done, the researcher will do the review of the related works, which we call the review of related literature. The researcher will see what all studies have been carried out on the topic or variable which we have finalized for carrying out a research. Now once that is done, next is we will bring in some research questions, research objectives, which is shown as the step 3, specifying a purpose for a research, where we will formulate the research questions, objectives, etc. At the same time, we will also make a plan for our research work, which we call the research methodology. What type of research are we going to undertake? Whether it is a survey type of a research, experimental type, or correlational study, it can be, there are different types of research also. Now, at this point, the researcher will also see when we undertake a research work, if we collect the data, the way the data is collected generally falls into two categories. One, where we collect data in the form of text or symbols, which we call the qualitative research. On the other side, we will also collect data which are mostly based on a number format, number based data, which we call the quantitative research. Now, if you see, the researchers were sticking to either qualitative work or quantitative work. But then towards 1990s, in the towards the end of that, people also started, the researchers also started combining these research work like both qualitative and quantitative, which is considered to be one of where the mixed methods started coming into the educational system. So at the third step, specifying a research purpose for a research, it is at this point the researcher will decide what kind of a research he will undertake. Now then it keeps on going, like then he will collect the data related to that. Then at the fifth step, the collected data will be analyzed and interpretation will be made by analyzing the data which he or she collects in the research work. As I said and I pointed out, see, qualitative or quantitative data will be there. Now the researcher has to see at the third step what kind of a research he has to undertake, qualitative or quantitative. Now if it is qualitative, there are specific ways of analyzing it. If it is quantitative data, there are specific ways of analyzing that. And if the researcher combines both these, then it is going to be a mixed method research. We will talk more about that. Let me conclude the steps. And the last and the final step, as you see on the screen, is reporting and evaluating the research. Once the data is analyzed, now the next task is to report that. And why it has to be reported? There can have various reasons. One, as I said, it can add to the existing knowledge. It can bring in any changes, implications on the existing teaching learning practices or the education system as a whole. Or it can also help in formulating the policy making processes. So for all that, it has to be reported and it has to be disseminated to a wider audience. So let me conclude for Rajshri, the question which you were asking is what is a research, which I was saying, like it is basically the process of collecting the data and making a result for a specific educational issue. And this, if we are talking about the steps, these are the steps like identifying, reviewing the literature, specifying the purpose, and collecting data, and analyzing and reporting the research work.
Very well explained, sir, about research and what steps we can follow to conduct a research. So you just talked about qualitative, quantitative and mixed method.
Right.
These are the different types of research.
Right.
So today, please tell us more about mixed method research.
Yeah. See, when we were discussing about the steps in the research work, at point number 3, where we formulate the research questions and objectives, I was talking about the qualitative and quantitative. Now, as I said, see, there can have research work which includes both qualitative data collection and quantitative data collection. And earlier, the case was either the researchers were sticking to either qualitative work or quantitative work. Then, as I said, sometimes they also combine, and there can have various reasons for that. Then comes what we call the mixed method research, MMR. Now, as you see on the slide, a very simple, maybe an explanation, a kind of a definition you can see. MMR is a research approach that combines both quantitative and qualitative methods within a single study or series of studies to provide a more comprehensive understanding of a research problem. So very clear. Let me also show you another definition. See, numerous educationists and psychologists have given definition for this MMR. Now, as this Leach in 2009 points out, like MMR involves collecting, analyzing and interpreting quantitative and qualitative data in a single or in a series of studies that investigate the same underlying phenomena. I suppose this is very easy to understand. See, either qualitative or quantitative. Now, when a researcher combines both the quantitative and qualitative, as I said, there are reasons why we are combining that, which we are not getting into too much. Now, if the research work involves collecting both qualitative and quantitative data, it can be either in a single study or it can be in a series of studies. Now, if such a research is conducted, such research work we call it as a mixed method research or MMR. Now, let me also give you a couple of examples so that it is more easy to understand. Like, say for example, as you see on the slide, see, a researcher sometimes may say, for example, if he or she is going to undertake a research work which is related to variable teacher training program, or the research problem is something related to teacher training programs. Now, what we were doing, the researchers, either they will collect the quantitative data and they will make a conclusion, will come out with some interpretation result of their study. Now, in MMR, what the researcher will do, as you see on the screen, they take two types of data, one in number format, the other in numerical non-number format or text format. If that is the case in quantitative approach, like the researcher will measure the impact of training program on teacher performance through pre-test and post. The idea is very simple and clear. See, in quantitative research, the researcher will create a kind of a test. They will do the pre-test, post-test. Of course, the result which we are getting, the data which we are getting in such data is going to be, such a tool is going to be in quantitative format. Now, it is up to the researcher whether he will go ahead with collecting some other data which are in the form of text or non-number or non-numerical format. If that is the case, then he will not stop with the quantitative research. He will also move on to qualitative data collection. And as you see on one side quantitative data, which was the pre-test, post-test. The other is qualitative data, which comes in the form of interview. So the researcher will also interview maybe the participants or samples which he or she is going to be included, which she or he is including in his or her study. So on one side, through test, they will collect the quantitative data. Parallelly, they will also collect qualitative data by administrating an interview. This is one example. Let me also quote one more example. Like, say for example, the research work is on technology integration. The quantitative approach or qualitative data collection will be, they will be analyzing the student achievement before and after the technology integration in the teaching learning process, which of course, as I said, will give you quantitative data, and qualitative, again the same way which I was explaining for the teacher training programs. Here also the researcher will interview the samples and they will collect the interview data. And finally, when they make out, when they analyze the research result or data collected, they will combine both this quantitative and qualitative data, and finally they will make a conclusion out of those data. So I suppose you might have understood. See, mixed MMR, mixed method research, the researcher is going to collect both quantitative and qualitative work, and finally they will make a conclusion looking at both the data.
Sure, sir. Very nicely explained. We have understood what is mixed method research so far. So it's like combination of both qualitative and quantitative data.
Right.
So could you please tell us more, like, is there any design which we can follow or understand while doing a mixed method research?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. See, when researchers undertake any research work, of course, there has to have some kind of a methodology, some kind of a design which we call the research design. Now, see, if it is a qualitative or quantitative, purely quantitative or qualitative work, the research design is something in those research. In MMR, as we were discussing and discussed, like we have two data types, one the qualitative and the other is quantitative. Now if that is the case, there the complexity of course increases, because we are collecting two types of data, the qualitative and quantitative. Also on a very peripheral level you will understand, see how the researcher will collect data, whether it is going to be a qualitative data collection in the beginning, it is followed by quantitative data collection, or it is vice versa, or whether they can parallelly collect quantitative and qualitative data. So since the complexity increases, then the educationist psychologists also came out with the various designs. Now I would like to give you the designs, the major designs. See, it varies from couple of educationists have given a different kind of a research design. The one which I am pointing out is given by this Tedley and Tasha Khori in 2009. Now they have talked about 6 designs, MMR designs. The first one is parallel mixed designs, and as you see on the screen, see it is also called as the concurrent design, the convergent design. And the idea is very simple, and the name itself suggests that parallelly we are going to collect the data. So how it is done? See, both qualitative and quantitative approaches data collection run simultaneously but independently in addressing a research question. So we have the research question to address that research question, to support that, to come out with conclusion. Both qualitative and quantitative data will be parallelly collected. Now say for example, a study examines teacher effectiveness by administering students performance test, which will give you quantitative data, and simultaneously the researcher will use the observation tool to collect the qualitative data. So this is parallel mixed design. The very basic primary idea is both the qualitative and quantitative data is collected at the same time. Now moving on to the next, the sequential mixed designs. It works as the name suggests. One follows the other. Qualitative in the beginning, followed by quantitative. Yeah, it can be the other way around. Quantitative in the beginning, qualitative. So that's how you see on the screen also, one or the other of qualitative and quantitative approaches run one after the other simultaneously but independently in addressing the research question. So very simple. See, suppose a researcher conducts a survey on student stress levels, which is going to give you quantitative data. So in the beginning he will use a tool to collect data which are in quantitative in nature, and it is followed by in-depth interviews, which is of course qualitative in nature. So here the quantitative data is collected in the beginning of the research to support that qualitative data. Then both data types will be they will analyze the data together, which we are not going to discuss much on that. So this is the second design the Tedley and Tasha Khori is pointing out. They mentions the third design, which is quasi mixed designs, and as you see on the screen here, what happens, both qualitative and quantitative data are gathered but which are not integrated in answering a particular research question. So what happens, very clear, a research work, quantitative data will be collected, similarly qualitative data will be collected, but they won't be integrating, they won't be combining that data, but both will support in answering the research questions. So they they stand as a separate entities, quantitative and qualitative, but both will both will help them in answering their research question. If that is the case, such a design is called quasi mixed design. The third is conversion mixed design, and as you see, data are transformed. Very simple, as you see on the screen, qualitative to quantitative data and vice versa. See, they will be collecting, the researcher will be collecting quantitative and qualitative data, and if it is qualitative, as we were saying, it is a text based data, that will be converted to number based data, the quantitative data which are in number format, that will be converted into qualitative format. So this is what the transformation of data means. And finally they will take both the data and make a conclusion to their research question. So this is the fourth one. The next is multi-level, and as you see, different types of data, both qualitative and quantitative, are integrated and or used at different levels of research. This, as the name suggests, there can have different levels of data collection, and the researcher will use both quantitative, qualitative, at various levels. Like as you see on the screen, student test scores analyzed using quantitative data, then interview schedule is used to interview teachers, which is qualitative. Then to measure something on school leadership, survey is again conducted, which is again will help the researcher to get quantitative data. So at different levels of research, then different tools also, which will give either qualitative or quantitative data. So this is the fifth one. The final one is fully integrated mixed design. And as you see, mixed methods are used at each and all stages and all levels of the research. A little bit or we can say more complicated kind of, again similar to multi-level. See, they use the different levels of the different approaches, qualitative and quantitative, from the beginning to the end of the research work. It's not only in data collection, maybe during the finalization of the research questions, when they frame the tools, when they analyze the research questions. At all these stages, the researcher will make use of both quantitative and qualitative data in such research. So this is the fully integrated mixed design. Now let me conclude that. See, the different designs in mixed method, as I said, there are various designs. Now the designs which we have discussed today is given by Tedley and Tashakori in 2009. I suppose you have had idea about the various designs also.
Yes, sir, sure. Now, whenever we are thinking about mixed method research, we can definitely look for these points.
Sure.
For selecting a research design. So, this discussion has been truly enlightening. If we go for any research further, so definitely we can consider these points while doing our research. So, thank you, sir, for your valuable insights.
Yes.
And thank you, viewers.
Yeah, I would also express my sincere gratitude to all the viewers who were listening this lecture. In today's lecture, we have covered the very basic aspects of mixed method research. We started with the definition of research, then we have had a discussion on the major steps that we undertake in a research work. Then we have had a discussion on the what we say the mixed method research also, where we were saying like a research work which includes both quantitative and qualitative data is considered to be a mixed method research. And finally, towards the end, we have covered the various designs which we will be using in a mixed method research. I suppose you have understood the ideas which we have discussed today. Once again, we express our sincere thanks to all the viewers and students who are listening to this live TC session. Thank you.